I wanted to make a video about the one thing that you need to do right now. Okay, so this isn't like some shiny piece of copy. This isn't some new strategy. This is one foundational principle that you should always be thinking about and that you should be using when you are starting your agency. And really, this is the thing that has the potential to get you from 0, 1K per month to like 5, 10, 20K per month. This is the one foundational thing. If you use this and every day you're constantly thinking about this and you stick to this, you will actually start to see a lot of results much quicker than most people will. This one framework is something called the niche offer result hypothesis. Okay, and it's basically the equation of SMMA, an equation of running an agency, and it's really all that you actually need in order to start seeing success with the agency. So let's break it down. You have niche, offer, and result. Okay, so the first thing is niche. So obviously, I'm not going to go into that. What niche do you want to be in? Next thing is offer. So niche times offer equals result. So niche times offer. Offer is the positioning of yourself. What guarantees do you have? What risk reversals do you have? What scarcity, urgency, what's your pricing? There's a bunch of components, and I'll actually show you right now the main components of offer. So there are 6 core components of your offer. The first one is pricing. So how much do you charge for your product? The second one is your safety net. So what risk reversals do you have? The third one is the dream outcome. So what's the dream outcome that you're kind of promising to get your clients to? The next one is how polarizing is it? So who is it for, but also who is it not for, right? So if you're in the gym niche, you can say we specifically work with gym owners only. We only work with gym owners. And maybe it's CrossFit gyms, right? So if you're a martial arts gym or if you're a regular gym, we don't want to work with you. We want to work with CrossFit gyms, but not just any CrossFit gym. We only work with serious, dedicated CrossFit gyms who are willing to put in the work to see results. And then there is your method. So what are you actually doing to get your clients from point A to point B? And the last thing, number 6, is the time frame. So how long will it take you? Maybe it's a 3-month minimum contract, 4 months, 6 months. How long will it take you to get your prospect to the dream outcome? When it comes to result, your prospect has their current situation, which is painful and it's not where they want to be, and they have their desired future situation, which is really nice. This is the gap. I talked about this in a bunch of videos, but basically the current and desired situation, and then there's the gap here. So the result is just basically getting them to that desired state. So you can kind of think about this like chemistry. When niche and offer come together, niche times offer, they react, and that obviously equals the result. And so one big thing you need to understand is that you have your niche, you have your offer, and they react, and they make the result. That result, the time between the reaction and the result could be a few days, it could be a few weeks, it could be a few months, it could be a few hours, right? You need to kind of understand the concept of latency, which is really hard to do because time in general is basically like a arbitrary human construct. So it's really hard to kind of like grasp time, and for a lot of people they can't relate cause and effect. So if something happened 1 year ago, that is the cause for an effect that happens today. Like for example, I don't know, the cold calls that I did like 16 months ago are the reason I'm here right now. A lot of people struggle to realize that the effect of me sitting here right now, the cause to that effect is me 16, 18 months ago watching that the Iman Gadzhi's most popular video. When it comes to this hypothesis of niche offer result, the result does not have to just be money. A lot of people think that most of you are probably going to go into the niche gyms or something along the lines of a local business niche. The offer is done for you, like 30 appointments, whatever your offer is, and then the result is the person adding $10,000 in monthly revenue. The result doesn't have to be that, okay? If you're doing an agency, fair enough, that makes sense to do that. But if you're doing coaching, maybe your niche is young men, maybe your offer is something to do with binge eating. So that one equation of niche, offer, result is going to be so important for your kind of understanding of how your agency works. And then the next thing that I want to talk about is the exponential curve of results. And this is actually something that you might think you've actually seen before, but it's not, I promise you, okay? The way that I kind of see exponents when it comes to your results is completely different from anything you've ever seen before, okay? So I'm going to cut in a clip of me in Miro showing you exactly how it works and how I think about getting results exponentially. Okay, so here we are in Miro, and there's basically 2 graphs that I want to show you, okay? So we have this one right here, and so this is what most normal people look like, And so some people in business, they're doing one of three things. They're either slowly and linearly decreasing and getting worse results over time, as you can see here. They are staying the same, which is pretty rare, but sometimes it happens. They're just not doing anything. Or they are slowly and linearly increasing it and, getting better results, right? So one of these three, either very slowly increasing and getting a bit better, stagnating, or getting worse, okay? And then here's another graph of something that you can do where your results, they don't stagnate and they are exponential, okay? And this is really where we want to be. We don't want to have any type of this linear effect in terms of getting results. We don't want any type of stagnation. We want exponential results, okay? And there's actually, funnily enough, basically kind of like a series of equations that explains the difference between these two, okay? And so I have it right here. And so this probably looks, a bit weird, but just hear me out, okay? This equation right here kind of explains exponential growth, okay? And it's super simple, right? So 0.0001 times 2 is 2, times 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, right? If we keep on doubling, then eventually, the number gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And after 44 equations, we get to 1, right? And obviously $1, obviously there's no dollar signs, but just imagine these are dollars, okay? And so let's say, when you're starting business, you have the ability to make this amount of money in business, right? 0.00001 cents. So you're not very good. But then, over time, you keep on improving. And, on average, for most people, 44 days, or not 44 days, but 44 of these equations of getting better, you'll have the skills to make $1. And, not just $1, because, in six equations, and that won't just be $1, because, in 6 equations, this is going to double like 6 more times, and it's going to be like $100, right? And then it's going to be 200, 400, 800. So 44 equations to get to the $1, and that's when you're on this curve, right? So with this kind of exponential effect, getting to $1 is kind of like, just getting off the ground. So getting to like right here, okay? But then with these guys who stagnate, this is what their equation looks like. This is what 44 equations look like when you are not listening to feedback, okay? So 0.001 times 2 equals 2, and then they don't use this feedback for the next equation. They just do it again. 0.001 times 2 equals 2, and then nothing changes. And it's a great quote. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If you're not listening to feedback, and if you're not using that feedback to improve, nothing's going to change. And with this guy, he did 44 equations and he got to $1. This guy did 44 equations and literally nothing changed. Okay, and this is all because of listening to feedback. Okay, and this is all because of listening to feedback. Okay, so we put in inputs to the business, processes happen, and then we get outputs. Okay, you need to use those outputs and use the metrics and the feedbacks you get from using the system to create new inputs. If you just use the same inputs every single time, this is what your entire life is going to look like, okay? And on a graph, this is what it's going to look like. One of these three is going to happen to you, okay? If you want your graph to look like this, you have to use feedback. So let's say you're doing cold calling and you do 500 calls and you have a 0.75 appointment booking rate, okay? That's not great, but in those 500 calls, you conducted them all the exact same, you recorded them all, and you found that out of those 500 calls, in 172 of them, someone said the exact same thing to you, okay? So that right now, that would be your bottleneck, okay? And so the next time you do the next 500 calls, you're going to iterate and you're going to change, okay? And so with the next 500 cold calls, you're going to change the part of the script, and you're going to change one line in the script that those 172 people said the exact same thing to, and that was like, your biggest bottleneck. You're going to change that. And what happens then is you get better results. And then with those results, you get more feedback. And then maybe 77 people said this thing to you. So the next time you change that, right? And you keep on improving and improving and improving. And when you keep on improving and when you keep on iterating, this happens, right? This exponential growth. You keep on getting better and better and better than you did last time. And then even better than you did last time. And then double, like it keeps on going up and up and up until, you make your first $1. And then the cool thing is, it takes 44 equations to get to $1. But if your goal is something like 50,000, I'm pretty sure it takes 59 equations, right? So if we come over here, so as I just said, let's say for example, one equation takes 50 hours, right? So 50 hours to kind of have this happen, right? So let's just say one equation takes 50 hours. If you did everything right, and you listen to feedback, every single time you did an equation, it went up and you were doing the right thing, and you wanted to make 50k, it would take you 122.92 days to do it. So why doesn't everyone? The reason, as I'm sure you just saw, is back steps, okay? So people they're not going up, they're going back. And they're not actually going back in the way you think. It's actually a lot worse than what you think right now. This is the key to the whole system. When you do the right equation for 50 hours, you go up one step, right? You move up one step. But when you do the wrong equation, you go back 2 steps, okay? So let's say, we're here, we do the right thing, and then we get to 0.2, we do the right thing again, and we're at 0.4. But then for this next equation, for the next 50 hours, we do the wrong thing, right? Maybe we sit around, we don't do anything. We don't go back to 2, we go back to 1, right? And let's say we're at this number, right? If we slip up and we have a bad day, it's not like your entire business is over if you have one bad equation. It's not, right? If you do the bad thing, you go back down 2, okay? And so this is why most people who are in business aren't doing the worst thing or the best thing. They're just stagnating. But most people aren't really, doing anything. Not like people in business, but just people in general aren't doing anything, okay? And so this is why, the mass of people are at this number, right? So let's say everybody, let's just say everybody starts at this number, right? Most people are at something like this number, 0.00001, right? A lot worse. They spend more time and more days going backwards than they do going forwards, okay? So, obviously, if you keep on going backwards, this is what's going to happen to you, okay? And so it's not like, it's so stupid when people say like, this is like a completely arbitrary example. Obviously, this is like completely arbitrary. It's not like if you do like 44 equations perfectly, you'll immediately get $1. It's not like if you do everything right, in 122.92 days, you'll instantly have 50k in your bank, right? It's just like a kind of a mental model and a way of thinking, okay? The way that you can be on this path, and then you keep on stacking exponentially, and you're going like this, instead of being like this, where you're stagnating, where you might be right now, where you're either slightly increasing, you're not doing anything, or you're getting worse, the way you can be on this path is by listening to feedback, okay? And feedback from your mind doesn't matter, okay? Imagine there's someone across the street from you right now, and it's your job to find out what they're hungry for, right? They're hungry, they want food. It's your job to find out what food they want. You could kind of think about it for yourself, and you could be like, well, there's a Subway a kilometer away, so maybe they know there's a Subway there, so they're thinking about Subway. That's not what you should do. You shouldn't, go and ask their parents, or go and ask their friends, or go and ask their siblings. The best way that you can find out what the person across the street from you wants to eat is by going and asking them what they want to eat, okay? And in the same way, the best way to get feedback on your niche offer result hypothesis and to actually see if what you're doing is good is not by just kind of thinking about it or asking around. It's by going and reaching out to people in your niche and offering them things, right? If your niche offer result hypothesis is the thing you're trying to get feedback on, don't just like think about it. I think like, I think this will work. I've seen this in the gym space. I think this might work. Don't do that. Go and do 500 cold calls and see, how many appointments you book, how many clients you close. That will tell you everything you need to know, okay? Don't waste your time idly procrastinating, not doing anything. If you actually want to get feedback, you need to go into the market and you need to test. And you need to test properly, right? Test one thing at a time, use the scientific method and keep on iterating, and your results are going to look like this, okay? And then, after 59 equations, or however many it was, after 122.90 days, you'll make 50k. Now, obviously, you won't, that's an example, but you get my point. You'll keep on iterating, you'll keep on improving, and your results will look like this, okay? Obviously, these are just examples, but this isn't. This is real. This is what your results will actually look like if you keep on iterating and you keep on listening to feedback, okay? So, I hope it's been really valuable to you. If it has been, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, everything like that, and I'll see you next one, okay? Bye-bye.